Hi everybody, and welcome to my session today, Red Plane Insider. Thank you for joining me. This is a topic I'm starting to do every other week, and what we're going to be doing here on Red Plane Insider is looking at changes to the Office 365 platform, and we're going to see what's been happening over the last 2 weeks. So a couple of things we'll look at. We'll look at items from the message center to see what's currently going on with the platform, incidents and things like that. And then we'll go into the roadmap and we'll see what items have been rolling out over the last 2 weeks, what items have launched globally over the last 2 weeks, and then also what items have gone into development. So it's a quick fire through what's currently happening. The intention here is to just give you the power that you need to know what's happening in the platform so you can go share that with your users. Like I said, I'm trying to do it every other week, and this is the second time I've done it. If you viewed my video from last week, we had a few issues with the video stream, so I apologise that was a little bit blocky. I've made some changes, so hopefully that's a lot better today. It's not as jumpy as it was. Quick introduction to me. My name is Mark Stokes. I'm the owner of Red Plane. We're a software development house, typically doing SharePoint projects, but really focusing on things like PowerApps and Flow these days, although we still do SharePoint development. But if you are looking to outsource any of your PowerApps or your Flow, please do get in touch. We also have a product called Atolo Internet, which is an Internet in a Box product, and I'll share some details with that, but if you're interested, please let me know. The first thing I want to do today is just start with a bit of news. This is something I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm just putting some process in place to capture more news of what's happening, so again, more new features and things like that. The Message Center and Roadmap don't really cover things like PowerApps and Flow, and that's something I want to bring in. So we're just looking at those content sources, bring that content in now. But just to get us going, a couple of new items, things that people need to be aware about. There is a blog post here. There is a link down in the comments and the show notes underneath, but people just need to be aware of a new licensing model that's coming into PowerApps and Flow. I believe this is coming through in October. This post here tries to make clear what's going on. It still is a little bit confusing. Unfortunately, but it's bringing in the concept. These are really around model-driven apps. So those apps, things like business process flows, those apps that are using the CDS, so a little bit more expensive than the normal PowerApps and Flow we might be used to. But what they're trying to do is bring in the option for licensing model-driven apps, and there's also going to be the option for an app license as well. So instead of everyone needing to pay $40 per month to access the app, you can actually license the app, and then each user only needs to have a $10 a month license. There's a minimum 30 users on that option, but if any organizations are just going to use one app significantly in the business, that might be a cheaper option than someone who's going to go through lots of different apps. So I definitely recommend you taking a look at this, familiarizing yourself with what's happening. It is some big changes. I think it might lead to some confusion. This isn't necessarily going to change your typical flows or your typical Power Apps. I think they will stay the same as they are. I believe, and I may still be wrong at this point, that instead of your normal flow count per user, I believe that's becoming unlimited as well. So there's a lot of changes coming at the bottom level for the normal app, normal user, and there's some changes for the higher end model driven apps. So that's a big change that's going on the Power Platform, so definitely go and familiarize yourself with that. Like I say, there is a link below, so do have a look. And then the other change that I just want to share with you is around, if I can find my mouse, something that I'm really excited about is copy and paste is coming to Flow Actions. So now when we go and create our Flow, we can actually copy and paste an action. I'm actually going to do some separate videos on these, and I'll show you how these work. So look out for those shortly, but I'm quite looking forward to that. Okay, a couple of little bits of news there, nothing too much, but what I want to do now is we can just jump straight into the update pieces. So if I just bring up my Power App that shows me all of the updates, and what we'll do, we're going to just come back, if I just change where we are, let's go into the Message Center. What I'm going to do first, I'll look at some current incidents that are happening. Bear in mind this is the Message Center in my tenant, so these are the incidents that are currently happening for me, so yours might be showing things different, but the idea behind this is it just gives us a flavour of what's happening in the platform itself. So current incidents, there's 4 at the moment, so this has been going on for a little while actually. I've seen this crop up over the last couple of weeks. Unable to import data models to SharePoint Online VCS. So we seem to be having some regular issues here. Can't create forms. There's been some issues creating new forms in SharePoint for SharePoint Online lists through SharePoint Designer. That's affecting 13.8 million tenants, so that's quite a widespread issue. That's currently going on. That's been going on since the 11th, so that's a bit of a long-standing one. So I imagine there's something going on behind the scenes to cause that. Some admins in the daily usage reports have been returning incomplete information. So if you're currently getting some over the last couple of days your usage reports, bear in mind that it might be have incomplete information. You may not be getting the full set of stats that you're expecting. We can see here this is affecting 22,792,000 tenants. That's about the maximum value I've seen, so I think that's probably around about the number of tenants that Microsoft runs, but it seems to be affecting pretty much everybody, that one. SharePoint Online links not working in Outlook on the web, so if you use an Outlook web browser and you're getting some links to SharePoint Online, some of those links may not be working at the moment, so if you are getting some support tickets from your users, you can know that maybe there is an actual platform issue that's causing that. We've had 19 closed incidents in the Message Center over the last 2 weeks as well, so I'll just zip through these reasonably quickly. So there was a problem where we couldn't access published calendars. That went on for quite a while, from the 18th of June, and was closed on the 12th of this month, so that was going on for a little while. There's some issues with outdated and offline presence information in Microsoft Teams. This crops up a couple of times, but there's some issues accessing Exchange Online, so there might have been some issues just pulling email down from Exchange Online. Most users tend not to notice these too much, they just don't notice that emails are coming in a little bit later. Teams, there's a problem if Teams channels were created outside of the Microsoft Teams client, then some users were unable to see those new channels. That's apparently now restored. This one as well, so this was one that came up 2 weeks ago. So user can't mention users who recently changed their names. But it seemed like there was some issues synchronizing changed usernames across the platform. There's apparently a problem changing channels in Microsoft Teams. That went on for not long, about an hour maybe, so it was quite a short one. Most people probably wouldn't have noticed that. This one came up a couple of weeks ago as well, so it looks like a bit of a recurring issue about receiving PSTN calls through Skype for Business. Some, again, issues connecting to Exchange Online, so maybe another, that was a false positive actually, so that one, there wasn't actually an issue there, even though it was reported as one. There's been some issues for about a day, where users couldn't log into Microsoft Teams as a guest. That affected 681,700 tenants. Obviously I was one of those, so other people may have experienced similar issues. So you know, a lot of these kind of happen out of hours, or this is extended for about 24 hours. I do apologise if there's background news today. I've got to keep the windows open. We're absolutely scorching here in the office today, so if you do get background noise or car alarms or choo-choo trains, then I apologise for that. So there are issues. Apparently there was issues joining meetings within the UAE from Skype for Business, and also Microsoft Teams. More problems accessing email, so again Exchange Online service, so that may be a similar incident. Problem with device check-in, so from Microsoft Intune, users were unable to check in devices and receive app updates using the Sidecar service. Yammer wasn't sending out notifications when messages were edited. Again, Exchange issues accessing email. Some emails that should be going to the focus inbox will go into the other tab, so you may have had some issues where users weren't seeing the focus emails they were expecting. Skype for Business, unable to join meetings in Skype for Business. Well, to be perfectly honest, this is every day for me, so I think that's more me though than the service, but there was actually a service incident there that may have caused that. Actually, no, so I apologise, this was a false positive. So probably somebody like me reported they couldn't join a meeting, when actually it probably wasn't a platform issue in the first place. We also had an issue where incomplete usage metrics data, so this is a similar one to what we were talking about. So we had a previous one that was closed, but we've just spoken about that as a current issue, so it looks like that issue is still happening. And unable, I think this came up a couple of weeks ago as well, but users intermittently experience limited functionality, signing in or performing other actions in the Power BI service. There are 137 awareness items, so I'm not going to go through these. One that keeps cropping up, just Clutter for Outlook's being retired January 31st. Updates coming to authentication on Dynamics 365. Some release information to Power Platform and Dynamics 365, probably to do with model-driven apps. We won't go through these. I need to decide how best to affect the awareness ones. So if you have any ideas what you want to see there, please drop them in the comments. So what we'll do now, we'll go in and we'll have a look at some of the roadmap items. So we've got no items that move to a cancel stage over the last 2 weeks. Now bear in mind, this isn't everything that's in launched, and this isn't everything that's in rolling out, and it isn't everything that's in development. What this is items that have come into these stages in the last 2 weeks. So new items with this phase. So there might be 30 items rolling out, but actually we may have discussed those 2 weeks ago, the other ones. So these are the new items that have entered this phase over the last 2 weeks. And the idea behind this is you can get a feel for what's recently come into your tenant and what's coming to your tenant in the next couple of months, which are the rolling out ones. And then a little bit longer term, what Microsoft's currently working on, what's in development, and then you have a little bit longer view. And the benefit of you finding this out through a service like RedPlane Insider is that you can then go and prepare your users for what's changing on the platform without having to go and monitor the blogs and the roadmap and everything yourself. Okay, so what has launched in the last 2 weeks? So B2B Sync has launched in the last 2 weeks. This is really useful. I quite like the ideas. I haven't tried it yet, but it just means that we can do synchronizing OneDrive folders from for users not only within our own Office 365 organization, but from shared partners, external contractor suppliers. So if you're using B2B services in Azure, then we're going to be able to sync cross tenants. So that's really cool. So we can now. Launch some updates to OneDrive for Business Admin, so the ability some management of files on demand storage sense via a group policy. OneDrive updated manage access pane for the classic user interface, so there will now be a new and more aligned way of managing access to content in the classic view. So no Outlook on the web, so S-MIME availability now is there for Outlook on the web. Outlook for Windows, so apparently now we can enjoy animated GIFs in emails in Outlook for Windows. I'm super excited. GIFs seem to be everywhere right now, even though I'm getting into them. I still want to know, do people think GIFs are appropriate for a business conversation? I'm not sure. I know they're definitely coming into our business conversations and people on a slightly lighter way of conversing, but I'm interested to know in the comments what you think. Ability to share and collaborate on Visio visuals. It's great. I'm loving Visio again since Visio Online has been released. Outlook for Android is getting suggested replies. We looked at this one 2 weeks ago. This was in rolling out. So I'm very interested to see what email suggested replies might look like. I think it makes sense in a instant messaging format where it's short replies, so I'll be interested to see what suggested replies come back on an email basis. For Microsoft Cloud App Security, discovery of Shadow Platform as a Service and Infrastructure as a Service across Azure, AWS and Google Cloud. So Shadow IT for resources that are hosted on IaaS and PaaS solutions such as Azure, Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud Platform. Cloud Discovery now provides you with visibility into which custom apps run on top of your IaaS and PaaS solutions. I'm not someone in this area, so I'm sure that means more to other people, but it sounds very useful. Some of these I'll go into more detail, some I won't, so they're really to give you an overview and then you can go off and have a look at more information. There are links to a lot of them in the bottom here, so if it's something you're interested in, you can go back in the video, pick up the link and go and find out more information on these. The intention is to just raise awareness with you. Okay, so also rolling out, so what's rolling out now? So we can expect these to go to launch within the next 2 to 3 months. So button and call to action web part. So the button web part and call to action web part allow you to provide text on a button that will load content for the page viewer to consume. World clock and weather updates. So they're adding a world clock web part and updating the weather web parts functionality. SharePoint news hero tiles as a layout. News gets hero tiles as a layout. So similar to the hero web part, we can now do on news pages. Highlighted content with advanced query filtering. So again, in SharePoint, so users can now add their own KQL and camel code with the new advanced query option. Microsoft Forms automatic phishing detection. This is quite good. Forms have been available to fill in anonymously. I know I've used a couple of them as well through the website. So Microsoft Forms is rolling out the ability to automatically detect phishing issues, so that will be super useful. OneDrive for Business, personalised onboarding in OneDrive for Business. I think we saw this 2 weeks ago as well. So when users use OneDrive for Business for the first time, they will be asked questions on various scenarios based on their answers. They will get a tailored onboarding experience. Drag and drop files to the canvas to upload. So in SharePoint, if you drag and drop files to the canvas, they'll be uploaded for you. Advanced e-discovery, threaded chat and email review. So now e-discovery managers can review chats and emails in context of the thread and full context of the collaboration or discussion. And this will help speed the efficiency of the review process with communications in full context of the conversation. Yammer updated suite navigation. So the Office App Launcher and header in Yammer, that's going to get more consistency across all of the other Office apps. So I think Yammer is becoming more closely aligned with the whole Office 365 suite. That should be completed through August. Office 365 license activation changes. I was just reading about this one earlier. So in August, Microsoft will start rolling out changes to Office 365 licensing technology to make it more reliable and resilient. These changes will help simplify activation management and streamline of Office activation experience for users. Users will still sign in to activate Office on their devices, and if the single sign-on is enabled, Office will automatically pick up the credentials and activate Office. Okay, so that's going to make things a lot easier for when we're rolling out Office onto the desktop. Outlook for Android, people contact information. So detailed contact information about people in your organisation, so an extension to the people card. Outlook for iOS, out on one message in a conversation or thread. This will be really useful actually. I struggle to kind of go through the thread of emails on my iPhone and actually work on a particular message in the conversation. You end up kind of fumbling through the history or just replying to the latest one. So that will be very welcome. So I look forward to seeing that one myself. Microsoft Teams, so share system audio in a Teams meeting. So sometimes at the moment through a Teams meeting we can't actually share the audio from our desktops or from our computers. So in the future we'll be get the ability to do that. So that could be useful for people who want to play audio clips or share a video in a Teams meeting. My Analytics dashboard is coming to more Microsoft 365 and Office 365 suite. So if you are a fan of My Analytics, then you can expect to see that becoming more available. Interesting here, it's coming to sort of E1, E3, Business Premium and Business Essentials, so that's going to be really useful. Outlook on the web, more control for events from email. Not an awful lot of information there. My Analytics email digest is coming to it. Okay, we just spoke about this one as well, so there's a duplicate item here. Okay, so that's what's currently rolling out. So the big major changes you can expect to see across Microsoft 365 over the next couple of months. And let's just have a quick look at items that have gone into development. So a little bit further out, we don't really have a long-term view on when these will be released, but let's find out what Microsoft is currently working on, or has started working on in development in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, they're working on a lot more than this overall. So Outlook on the web, see your tasks and calendar in your inbox. So Outlook is bringing the ability to see your tasks and calendar in your inbox, so you can see what your day looks like and check what outstanding tasks you have without leaving your email. That'd be useful. No mention of to-do here, so I'm not sure if this is going to bring to-do items in or if it's just going to be exchange tasks. Updated settings interface for OneDrive mobile app, so new settings. Camera upload settings will be available in here, so if you do want to automatically upload all of your photos into OneDrive, there'll be some new settings to control that. Outlook for iOS, so app configuration support without enrollment. App configuration support, so that's the same thing for Android. Microsoft Bookings and online meetings. So Bookings will integrate with Teams and Skype meeting capabilities. Businesses can set up services with online meeting enabled, and a meeting link will be added to the booking invite, which users can use to join the appointment. Group bookings, Outlook on the web, more controls for events from email, similar to what we've just seen. Microsoft Teams, a shared link, so streamline sharing with Microsoft Teams. You can now create a shareable link for any file stored in Teams and directly set the appropriate permissions. I think we've heard something about this one before, I believe. We can enforce Yammer group creation rights, so we can set permission on who can and can't create Yammer groups. That will be useful for sort of more group moderation. And prevent Yammer groups from being hidden from the directory. So Yammer admins will now be able to prevent Yammer groups from being hidden from the groups directory if they so wish. Enforce all Yammer groups are Office 365 connected groups. So if admins want to make sure that all Yammer groups are Office 365 groups, which is probably a good idea going forward long term, then admins can facilitate that. So we can actually see here Yammer is getting a lot of love, and there's a lot of development going on. So for all the naysayers out there, Yammer is getting investment. Microsoft Teams policy packages. So IT admins can meet user requirements faster by applying a predefined set of policies across Teams functions, such as messaging and meetings, to employees based on their role. Outlook for iOS is getting dark mode. It feels like everyone's getting dark mode at the moment. I think everyone's loving dark mode on all their applications. This seems to be very common. I guess that's great for people who like it. I think it's good for battery saver as well, so there's less light if we're going to battery saving mode. Currently working on OneDrive for Business, file activity and list view. This is something we get in OneDrive at the moment, which is really useful. So we get the file activity of a particular file in OneDrive for Business, just seeing what's been happening, who's been accessing those files, who's been sharing it. That could be very useful. Microsoft Teams secure private channels. This is something I'm very excited about. This is something I've been asking for a very, very long time. We use Microsoft Teams in a customer and a project basis. One thing I really want to do is be able to set private channels in Teams, so we can just invite in the project members to the channels that need to see that. So this is currently in development. A lot of people are going to be very excited about this, and I look forward to seeing this one coming through. We've got an availability date there of August 2019, so hopefully we'll start to see this coming through between August and the end of the year, I'd expect. Remember, it's got to go through preview releases first and then into public release, so you can expect to see this coming 3 to 6 months depending on what release cadence you're on. And lastly, a per site anyone link expiration policy. So we can actually set anyone access or to content, and we can say anybody who has a link to this file can access it, but we can actually now set a tenant policy to set an expiration on those anyone links, so they don't just sit there valid and visible forever. It does have no previously released items in there. So in a nutshell, that is everything that is currently going on in Office 365 at the moment. There are all the changes from the last 2 weeks. and I look forward to hearing back from you. Please get in touch with me on Twitter at Mark Stokes or in the comments below. Please tell me what you like and what you don't like about these update sessions. Are they useful for you? Is there a way I can change it? Can I group them into technologies? Or let me know how you can best get value from this. The intention is to empower you to take this information back to your users, so you either know what's currently going on the platform and you know what's coming on the platform, so you can prepare them. And hopefully it's a lot easier for you to follow this in a 25-30 minute webcast than it is for you to have to sit there and monitor all the blogs. I am looking at a way of bringing more news in, so if you want to see more headline news of things that are announced, then let me know and I can try and pull that together, and we'll have that as an option as well. But for now, that's what's happening in Office 365. I hope you get value. If you do, please like the video, subscribe, and you should get alerts for future videos, and the next one will be in 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon.